let's begin. We shall discuss the question answers first and then the poetic devices. Fine?
Okay.
Okay. So see the first question. Can a simple jab of the knife kill a tree? Simple jab. Jab is?
Jab is a sudden rough blow.
Sudden strike, cut.
Okay.
Right? It is a cut. It is chopping of the knife, or a sudden strike with the knife. Right? Okay. Can a simple jab of the knife kill a tree?
Ma'am, no. A simple jab of knife cannot kill a tree because tree is so huge in comparison of a jab of a knife.
Okay. All right. Now here one thing interesting I would like to tell you. The question is, can a simple jab of the knife kill a tree? Answer is already given in the second question. Right?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
second question says, why not? Why not, meaning the answer of the first question is no. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So whenever you get two or more than two parts of a question, don't read the first part of the question and then think of the first part answer and then read the next questions. No. Read the whole set of questions first and then part wise you think of the answers. Okay. So this is smart that when you said no. A simple jab of the knife cannot kill a tree. It can simply harm the tree, but it cannot destroy the tree. The tree would be killed when it is?
When it is uprooted.
Right, correct. The tree would be killed when it is uprooted or when it is pulled out of the earth. Clear? Good.
Yes, ma'am.
How has the tree grown to its full size? How does it grow full? How does it grow tall? How does it grow so huge?
Ma'am, by absorbing sunlight,
Right?
air, water,
Yes.
and feeding upon its crust.
Good, very good. Absolutely right. Okay. Now the the question says that list the words that suggest that the tree grows full. So what are the words which suggest the growth of the trees?
Ma'am, by taking it means the food of tree.
Yes, yes. No, the question is asking you to give words from the poem that suggests the tree's growth, how the tree grows. It is consuming the earth,
Consuming.
rising meaning growing,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Feeding upon its crust,
Yes, ma'am.
absorbing sunlight, air, water,
Yes, ma'am.
sprouting leaves. Sprouting leaves is also the sign of the growth of the tree.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Then green twigs, miniature boughs.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? All these are suggestive of the growth of the tree. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is the meaning? They are the suggestive of its life and activity, meaning how it grows. Okay, what is the meaning of bleeding bark?
Bleeding mark means a simple cut that we do on a tree.
Okay, then what does bleed?
Bleed in tree.
Yes.
The white substance.
The white substance. What is that white substance called? What is that white substance called? Try to remember. You must have learnt in general science also. Bio में पढ़ा होगा आपने. That white substance is called sap.
Yes.
Right? SAP sap. So how you will explain bleeding bark? You would say bleeding bark is the bark of the tree when the tree is cut or chopped or its bark is scrapped. Then a white substance called sap flows out. So that flow of the white substance is called bleeding. Just as a human body is cut, it bleeds with the red blood, right? Similarly, the tree bark is cut and then that white sap flows out, which makes it bleeding bark. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And what makes it bleed? Try to understand the question now. What makes it bleed?
Ma'am,
Meaning, yes,
by cutting the branch
the cutting the branch with what?
with a knife,
With an axe,
with an axe.
right? So
Yes.
what makes it bleed? The axe, right? The woodcutter uses an axe to cut the tree. That makes it bleed. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now let me reorganize your answer and sum it up and just note carefully how it has to be answered. You would say the meaning of bleeding bark is that the tree bark is cracked or the tree is chopped. Soon a white substance sap flows out like the bleeding, like a blood, like the blood from a human wound. The human body, when is cut, it bleeds with the red blood. Similarly, the tree also bleeds with the white substance called sap. That's why it has been called bleeding bark. Right? The woodcutter uses an axe to cut the tree. That axe makes the tree bleed. And suppose you get this question, or you get only this question, what makes the tree bleed? And suppose the question is carrying 2 marks, then how to elaborate? Then you would say the woodcutter uses an axe to cut the tree. As he cuts the tree with the axe, it bleeds with the white substance. So in this way, axe makes the tree bleed. Is that clear, Anmol?
Yes, ma'am.
उसको 3 sentences में थोड़ा सा लेंदन कर दूं sentence को answer को, right?
Okay.
And then it will be your 2 marks answer, right? The
Okay.
poet says no in the beginning of the 3rd stanza. Let me go to the 3rd stanza. Here he says, no, the root is to be pulled out. What does he mean by this? Why does he say no here? No, the root is to be pulled out from the earth. What does he mean by this?
For the killing of tree, we have to pull out the root of it from
Right.
the.
Right. Absolutely correct. But when he says, what does he mean by this? इसमें एक word आप use करेंगे, वो आप word use करेंगे. The poet says no in the beginning of the stanza, 3rd stanza. By saying so, he emphasizes. Is that clear? He emphasizes.
Meaning.
To emphasize meaning to lay stress on, meaning he draws attention of the people or he tries to put forth the particular point, right? That is, he wants to say specifically why no. By saying no, he wants to emphasize on this very fact that the tree cannot be cut the tree cannot be killed simply by cutting it, but it has to be completely uprooted or pulled out of the earth, then only it can be killed. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So to emphasize, meaning to give a stress on this very point, to give importance to this very fact. That is to draw attention, to make you focus on this particular thing, that how the tree can be killed, not simply by cutting. This is what he has tried to say throughout the poem. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
इस वर्ड को आप नोट करेंगे, इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है, पूरा आंसर आपको आता है, सिर्फ आपको वो वर्ड एम्फेसाइज यूज करना है, राइट?
Okay.
What is the meaning of anchoring earth and earth cave? Let us talk about anchoring earth first. Anchoring earth, yes.
Trees, earth hold the trees
Right.
securely.
Right. The earth holds the tree strongly. So what is the role of the earth here? Earth gives support to the tree. Right? The meaning of anchoring earth is that earth is a support for the tree, right? That holds the tree firmly deep in the earth, right? Because of which the tree keeps standing strong. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Then earth cave, what is earth cave?
Ma'am, earth cave meaning when we pulled out the tree from the earth, then the root space is making the earth as a cave.
You see that earth cave is a deep pit in the earth, right? It is a deep pit in the earth from which it is a deep pit in the earth where the tree is standing steadfastly, right? And then it is pulled out of that deep earth. So that is called earth cave. Basically, earth cave is the gap in the earth, right? Now that gap in the earth is what? What is that gap in the earth? That gap in the earth is cave. That gap in the earth is a pit, right? You see, just as for examples, I tell you, many a times you come across the news in the newspaper that the road caved on the flyover, है ना? बारिश की वजह से या किसी वजह से रोड जो है अच्छी खासी रोड होती है और उसमें गैप आ जाता है, नीचे क्रैक्स आ जाते हैं. Have you noticed?
Yes, ma'am.
There are cracks and sometimes the accidents also take place. तो वो जो क्रैक आता है, उस क्रैक से क्या होता है कि when it is removed, then they find that it's a deep pit. That's why the accident has happened. All right. So earth cave is a deep pit in the earth where earth gives support or earth holds the tree firmly and strongly. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shall we go to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What does he mean by the strength of the tree exposed? First of all, just think of it, the strength. What is the strength of the tree?
The roots.
Right.
And the earth
the strength of the tree. What does he mean when he says the strength of the tree exposed?
Means the root is uprooted.
Okay, right. Then how is the strength exposed?
The root when we pulled out the root, the strength of the tree exposed.
Okay, how? It is exposed to
roped and tied the tree.
Just a minute. Let me take you back to the poem. Right here, you see what it is. Out from the earth cave, the strength of the tree exposed, source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden. This is exposed to scorching and choking. That is, this is exposed to the sun, the heat of the sun and the wind. In sun and air, right? This is exposed in sun and air, and due to the heat and the air, the roots of the tree, they dry, they become hard, they decay, and then the tree is killed. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I will repeat this, okay? So here in this question, in the answer, first you would say, the roots of the tree are the strength of the tree. As the tree is uprooted, the roots of the tree or the strength of the tree, they are exposed in sun and air. As a result, with the heat of the sun and the air, the roots, their color is changed, they turn brown, they turn dry, they become hard, and gradually they decay. And then the tree is completely dead. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
These 4 points you should remember. अपने टिप्स पे याद रखो ये points. नहीं तो बेशक लिख लो. Right? First is the roots are the strength of the tree. Number 2, when the roots are pulled out, they are exposed in sun and air. Number 3, with the heat of the sun and the air, the roots turn brown. They become hard. They become dry. And finally, they decay, and thus the tree becomes dead. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
अब इसमें एक चीज और भी है. The same question can also be given like this. How do you think is the tree completely killed? Right? Or how does a tree become a dead tree? Then again the same answer, but थोड़ा सा उसका presentation आप change करेंगे. You would say that the tree is uprooted. As it is uprooted or pulled out of the earth, its roots are exposed in sun and air. With the heat of the sun and air, these roots, they become brown, dry, hard, and finally they decay and the tree becomes dead. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So the same question, it can be the same answer for different forms of the question. Simply you have to read it very carefully and understand it. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Now here, what finally kills the tree? Now again think over.
When the strength of the tree is pulled out from the earth,
Yeah.
and then the strength of tree exposed in the sun in air,
Right.
it became hard, and
Yes.
the color of
Yes. So it's the same answer. So could you understand that the 7th question is the same as is the 6th question?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Only the thing is that in the 6th question, it has been asking the meaning of the strength of the tree exposed. But we had discussed the other part of the answer also. Suppose the question is for 2 marks, 3 marks, right? Then you have to give the same answer. And the 7th one is also what finally kills the tree? How is the tree destroyed completely? How do you think that the tree can be killed? How do you think the tree, what happens to the tree after the tree is uprooted, right? It's the same answer for all these questions. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go back to the home now to discuss literary device. So first of all, the title of the poem, On Killing a Tree. Which poetic device is there? Try to remember, I discussed in the beginning.
Imagery.
Imagery. Yes, you can say imagery. Very correct. Yes. Because when we read On Killing a Tree, instantly we start imagining a tree being killed, a tree being destroyed, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Any other? It is irony, right?
Ma'am, what is irony?
Yes, it is irony. Irony is, I have told you earlier also, irony is that when we say something, but we convey an opposite meaning, right? The meaning that is conveyed, that is just opposite to it. For example, On Killing a Tree. Now the title says On Killing a Tree. The reader when reads will think on killing a tree. But does the poet want to convey how to kill a tree? Does he want to tell you how to kill a tree?
No, ma'am.
No. What is he trying to do actually?
Maybe trying to actually to express and tell the pain
Yes.
of the tree when
Right.
we simple cut the tree of the branch of tree,
Yes.
and when we uprooted the tree.
Right. Okay. Now listen attentively, right? On Killing a Tree, the poet has used irony. It seems that he is giving instructions how to kill a tree, but actually by giving those, they are not instructions, they are steps. By giving those steps, he wants to convey to the human beings, he wants to sensitize the human beings by telling them that the trees are also living things like humans. So just as the humans, when they are injured, they have pain, so does the tree also have pain. The humans bleed, so does the tree bleed. So by saying On Killing a Tree, the poet actually wants to sensitize the people not to kill a tree, because the tree also has a life like humans. Is that clear, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
If it is 1 marker question, अब इसको मैं आपको बताती हूँ, marks के हिसाब से बताती हूँ. If it is 1 mark question that identify the literary device in the title, okay, then you would simply say that the title carries irony, as the poet wants to convey actually not to kill a tree, but to protect it, right? Now, if the same question is for 2 marks or more than 2 marks, then you would explain that the poet wants to sensitize the readers that the trees also have life like the humans. Just as the humans bleed when they get cut on their body, similarly, the trees also bleed. They also have pain. So therefore, we should not kill or we should nor harm the trees. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you have to elaborate the answer, you can also add one more point, that the poet is an environmentalist, right? So being an environmentalist, he always emphasizes on protecting the trees. And that's how he has tried to convey to the people that they should not kill the trees or they should not harm the trees. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now let's go to the next, first stanza. In the first stanza, try to identify. Yes. In the first stanza, just try to identify the literary devices. Yes, Anil.
Ma'am, jab of knife, its symbolism.
Jab of the knife is?
Symbolism. Ma'am means to simply cut.
Okay. It is symbolic of what?
Ma'am, the
This
cut,
is symbolic.
the cut of on tree.
The cut of a tree. Anmol, it is not symbolism, beta. Right? Jab is not symbolism. Jab of the knife, cut of the knife, we often say.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Any other?
No.
Yes.
I think in first standard there is no poetic device.
No, it is there. It is there. See very carefully. First of all, leprous hide. Leprous hide is metaphor. How it is metaphor? Leprous is the leprous skin of a deceased person. The one who has leprosy. अब लेप्रोसी में क्या होता है मैं आपको लेप्रोसी का वो दिखाती हूँ एक मिनट आप देखेंगे right I'll show you leprosy is the white and black spots on the body
Okay.
right that is basically discolored skin beta
Okay.
okay that is discolored skin so what it is leprous hide the bark of the tree that is discolored and that is rough do you see how rough it is not smooth
Yes, ma'am.
right? So similarly, a leprosy patient's skin is not smooth. It is discolored. It is rough. So the bark of the tree has been, discolored bark of the tree has been compared with the skin of a leprosy patient. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So that is why it has been a scaly skinned. It has been called, it has been described as a scaly skin, infectious disease. Okay, so this is metaphor, right?
Okay.
Yes. Any other? Then in the first line, you see here it is alliteration. It takes much time to kill a tree.
Yes.
Can you identify alliteration?
Yes. Yes,
How?
ma'am. Some takes time.
Right, right. Takes time, tree. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Takes time,
Tree.
tree. Yes. Then personification has been used. Now you would say how personification? It has grown, slowly consuming the earth. Persons, humans consume, not the trees. But the poet has personified the tree. The poet has described the trees as the persons. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. It has grown. The man has grown. The child has grown. The tree has grown. So again, personification. So there are two such examples of personification, one example of alliteration and one example of metaphor. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all. Fine. Let's go to the next stanza. Yes. So now in this next stanza, so hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal. And from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which if unchecked will expand again to former size.
Ma'am, personification.
Right? Where is personification?
Ma'am, pain will do it and bleeding back.
Good, very good. Very good. Not so much pain will do it. That's correct. There is another example of personification.
Bleeding back will heal.
The bleeding bark, right. The bleeding bark will heal. The humans bleed, not the trees. But the poet has personified the trees. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Any other?
Symbol. No. Metaphor, miniature bow.
Metaphor, miniature boss. Good, very good. Bleeding bark is also metaphor.
Okay.
Right? Bleeding bark is also metaphor. Good. Yes, one more. ध्यान से देखो.
Alliteration.
Alliteration. Where is it?
Bleeding and bark.
Right. Correct. Wonderful. It's bleeding bark. B repeated. All right. Yes. There is another example of alliteration.
Which will.
Right. Correct. Very correct. Which, if unchecked, will. So which will. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to the next now. No, the root is to be pulled out. Sorry. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped out, or pulled out entirely out from the earth cave. And the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth.
Ma'am, metaphor, earth cave, out of from the earth cave.
Okay, fine. Earth cave will not be a metaphor, beta. Earth cave, the gap in the earth.
Yes.
There is always a pit in the earth, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Or out, alliteration.
What is it? Or out. Or out is not correct. Okay. Why? Because o and o, the sound is different. But yes, definitely alliteration is there in this stanza. The source white and wet.
Yes.
Right? White and wet. This is alliteration. Then if you just read yourself, I think you read yourself, you will realize soon and you will catch it. You read yourself from the beginning, this stanza.
Ma'am, pulled out and pulled out is repetition in the
Very good. Yes. Out has been repeated so many times. Pulled out has been repeated. All right. So what is it? It is repetition here. It is repetition here. Right? Yes. Any other? The most sensitive. Humans are sensitive. But here the strength of the tree has been called sensitive. So this is personification. Yes, personification.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to the last stanza now. Then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. Do you find any poetic device here?
Scorching and choking.
Scorching and choking is what, beta?
Symbolism.
No, they are not symbolic. In fact, what it is, then the matter of scorching and choking. Here I find enjambment. But I think enjambment is not taken up in the class. Has the teacher ever taught you about enjambment?
No.
हाँ, तो फिर इसको हम नहीं करेंगे. वैसे enjambment, for your knowledge, I would tell you, enjambment होता है when you are in a poem, you are shifting from one reference to another one without using any punctuation mark. Right? अब जैसे then the matter, उसके बाद कोई comma या full stop नहीं है.
Yes,
Then we
ma'am.
go to the next. Choking के बाद again without using any punctuation mark, we just jump to the next.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
So that is called enjambment. पर आप छोड़ दीजिए, उसको नहीं करेंगे. Is that clear?
Yes.
Right? So that's all with this poem. And then I think, is there anything else that I had to show you? No, I've shown everything here. Now the next I would take up bond of love, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.